And welcome back. So continuing on with the World Database Storage System, in this video we're going to begin the advanced features that we will need in this system. So for the video, Nelson's going to be creating the IAdvancedDatabase interface, and then from there we're going to take one of the methods and get them implemented, and that'll be the GetCorrupted record method.
Sweet. So yeah, let's go ahead and add that interface in. The interface is going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be called IAdvancedDatabase. He's going to have a void defragment_database file.
Very good.
A long method for get wasted space due to fragmentation method. A double get fragmentation%, and then an IEnumerable of record info which we have there. So get corrupted records. And yeah, so there's our interface.
Sweet.
The way we're going to expose this interface is kind of interesting. Basically, we're just going to have a property on IDatabase for IAdvancedDatabase, and we're going to call him advanced. And the idea is just to keep the API for our database really clean, and all the weird edge case stuff that we only need once in a while, and stuff that in a different interface. So whenever you want to defragment, you'll do database.advanced.defragment database file, for example.
Okay.
Now, the way we're actually going to implement the advanced code is I don't really want to stick much more code in here, especially code that's going to be considered to be advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and it's going to be a bit weird. I'm not going to create another class for advanced database. And the reason I'm not going to is there's a lot of private functionality in this class that we can use to make things a lot more straightforward. Now, if I was going to write a lot of code that actually relied on this advanced this functionality that's implemented as a private member, I would write some sort of abstraction. I would write some sort of a base database or something, some sort of abstraction that gets that functionality out into the open. But because our scope of our advanced database is very, very minimal at the moment, it's just going to be easier to do what I'm about to do, which is going to be very strange.
Okay.
So I'm going to create a advanceddatabase.cs file. And he's actually going to be an internal class, and he's going to be actually named database. Then I'm going to make it partial. So now database and advanced database, or both these database parts, are now partial parts.
Wait a minute. Is this what you were saying? Is this what you mean by what you were going to do was strange?
Ooh, but watch it. Watch this. So now I'm going to implement members, right? So we have this advanced database.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say get return this, or sorry, I have to implement IAdvancedDatabase first, of course. So yeah. And then, of course, I'm going to bring the implementation of IAdvancedDatabase into here. Gotcha.
Okay.
So yes, that is what I mean by weird.
I see. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's not really weird, though.
Well, yeah, it is kind of strange. Again, if the code was any longer, or I was doing anything more than just one other piece of code that relied on it, I would actually break this out into abstraction. But there's no need to if I just have, 4 methods that I can go ahead and write out very quickly.
Sure. Okay.
And of course, because we are internal and database is hidden behind our database factory, we can pretty much do whatever we want with this class and have it as ugly or as nice as we want it to.
As ugly? What? Okay, so, before we get carried away, I think the only thing we wanted to actually implement was just the GetCorrupted record.
Oh, right. That's over here. This method is going to be straightforward. CEO... broken records. I like broken more than corrupted. It's easier to say. And then, so we're going to do info, and then we're going to invoke walk record list. Walk all records, which I don't think we've implemented yet. No, we haven't. So let's actually drop back down into the database class and add another helper method that we're going to need for our advanced functionality. And don't worry, this method's going to be very straightforward. Let's go ahead and put it under walk record list and private void walk all records. It takes in an action which gets a record header and a binary reader. And we'll call this on record. Or how about on next record? Just to be consistent with walk record list.
Exactly. Very nice.
Now we're going to have to drop back into the index as well, because what we're going to do is we're going to be getting all the indices in the entire database. So we're going to do index.getAllIndices, which has not been implemented yet. So let's go ahead and implement this now. So we're now in our index. I'm going to move this method actually up a little bit above all of our getIndex code.
And go ahead and remind those people that are using ReSharper and they may never have done this before, what hotkey combination you're using.
I'm hitting Control, Shift, and Alt, and then up and down.
Cool.
I'm going to actually dump this guy right there. And then I'm going to fail at... There we go. So now we have this getAllIndices method. And basically all it's going to do is we're going to lock out our reader first. We're going to set his base stream, or his base stream's pointer to 0 from the beginning. Then we're basically just to say while true, long value, and then we're going to say try value equals reader.read in 64. We're going to catch out an end of stream exception, and we're going to invoke yield break, and then we're going to yield return out our value.
Okay.
So that's pretty straightforward. We're just looping over all of our indices and, well, shooting them back to our database, or whoever is calling us.
Right.
So, so now that we have all of our indices, let's go ahead and lock our file stream and say var current index equals index, and say while current index does not equal -1. So while we're, what's wrong with you? Object and int. Ooh, my bad. This is actually going to be IEnumerable of type long, by the way. And we're going to have to import in IEnumerable. So using IEnumerable or using collections generic just popped up. So now we're going to do that. We're going to walk through all of our indices, and we're going to say reader. No, that's not even close. We're going to say reader.basestream.seek on current index, or then we're going to do seek origin.begin, and then we're going to grab out our header. So our header will equal our new record header, and we're going to pass in our reader, and then our reader base stream position for our current position, and then we're going to say on next record, pass in our header and our reader, and then we're going to say current index equals header next record. So yeah.
Okay, very cool. But now that you have this created, we can jump back over to AdvancedDatabase.
Yep, and we can actually start using it.
Yeah.
So basically, our GetCorrupted records is going to walk all records, and then he's going to pass. We're going to pass in a lambda with header and reader. Whoa. Header and reader, and then we're going to say there's an error, of course, because we're wanting to walk all records, not walk record list. There we go. And then we're going to say if reader read bytes, and then we're going to pass in our header.data size. So we're going to read in the entire record here as a byte array. Then we're going to say to MD5, and we're going to import that. And we're going to say does not equal header.checksum. Then we're going to say broken records.add last, new record info, pass in the coordinates, which will be header.coordinates, pass in the type, which will be header.type, and pass in the layer, which will be header.layer. and then we will return out our broken records. Now the issue is here, remember that we changed the header type over to a string?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to do that on our record info as well.
Okay.
So let's jump into our record info and say type is now a string, type is now a string. Make sure we build. And we need to do right here, we need to say instead of record.getType, we need to do record.fullname or record.getType.fullname. And this is on line 58 of database.cs. We need to nuke this full name off our type on line 70, and we should be good. So as far as our advanced database stuff, we had to jump around a little bit, but that should be it for the GetCorrupted records.
Okay, fantastic. Then we'll go ahead and bring this video to a close, and in the next we will turn our attention over to the defragmentation stuff. So thank you guys very much, and we'll catch you in the next video.